Michael Williams, I hope you're doing well, sir. Welcome into the game here in T-Town.
How you doing, Ryan?
It's good to talk to you, man. I was thinking about it last night when I sent you a text, and I said everything kind of comes full circle, man. Covering you as a high school player and covering you through college, the NFL, and now you're back at Pickens County. Congrats to you for returning to your alma mater.
Thank you, Ryan. And if everything goes like you covered me the first couple of times, then I'll be doing a pretty good job down here. So hope it all goes the same way since it comes back full circle.
Sure. Let me ask you, when we talk about the transition from the player to the head coach, obviously the game of football, I mean, you've got a PhD, as Ozzie Newsome told us a few weeks ago. You talked to an Alabama guy, he's got a PhD in football. But talk about the side of things when you go from player to coach in that transition.
You basically it's different for me because I understand when the player's complaining and things like that. But it's different for me because, like I said, this is my first coaching job. It's just trying to figure out everything on the coaching side of it and, using everything that you've learned from all these years of football and trying to put it into your own way and try to, put that out to your players. And I hope I'm doing a pretty good job of it.
Well, sure, but and certainly when a program that is rich in tradition like Pickens County, you guys have had a lot of success out there at Pickens County, and certainly the expectation is mighty high for the Tornadoes there in Reform, Alabama.
Yeah, expectations are very high. Go to the state championship 2 years in a row and lose. It adds an extra fire to it, and like I said, I'm just trying to be that little gasoline that can put even more on it.
Michael Hemme, how often have you, in the early part of your coaching career, how often have you caught yourself doing or saying things that remind you of Nick Saban?
A couple times. I know me and my offensive coordinator actually laughed at me the other day when I threw the hat. When I threw the hat, he was like, "Oh my God, that turned into the coach for real." So that was just one thing. That was just one instance. I'm pretty sure there'll be pretty more down the line. So I'll make sure to keep you updated on that.
I got you. Now, Mike, did the hat spin when you threw it like Nick Saban? I mean, that spin, that twist in that wrist that Nick Saban's got with that straw hat. I mean, did you have that motion, or do you need to work a little bit more on throwing the hat?
I definitely need to work a little more. I need to get the straw hat. I had a snapback, so it didn't spin quite right. So it was a little more of a cooler hat that just went slapping to the ground. So it wasn't too much a spinning motion.
I got you.
Need to work on that a little bit better.
Gotcha. All right, Mike, let me ask you, when you look at Nick Saban, what is the biggest myth that you think that as a player, I mean, we're talking about a guy that was part of the early steps of the dynasty being built here. You went on to win 3 national titles at the University of Alabama. What is maybe the biggest misunderstanding that we have from an outsider perspective of Nick Saban when you're on the inside?
Basically, just he's not always fired. He's not fired up all the time. He has an open door policy, and I bet every player that ever played for him loves to play for him, and he'll do anything for you. Basically, it's not about you got people who think the players don't like him or something like this. They just come here because he gets players to the NFL. No, people actually come to him because they actually like him. He's a genuine guy. And especially what you see is what you get. He's not going to bull crap you around. He's just going to tell you how it is, how it should be done, and you got to go do it.
Mike, when you made the decision, and something tells me when you're 30 miles away from the University of Alabama, grew up understanding the importance of Alabama, can you walk us through the recruiting process? I'm trying to remember. I mean, was it an easy decision for you?
My recruiting process was very simple. I had 0 scholarship offers. Nick Saban gets hired, comes to Pickens County. Is Mike going off your scholarship? Where's the paper?
Really? Okay.
That's how simple mine was. I always knew I wanted to go to Alabama. There's nothing, no other school, 30 minutes down the road, no other school that ever. Well, Georgia Tech, I had a little interest in Georgia Tech because of their business school and all that. But once Alabama came in the picture, it was a no-brainer.
Hold on a minute. So Nick Saban comes to Pickens County. I mean,
yes.
What's that like?
That was a crazy day for the school. That was my first introduction to him. We sat around, we played basketball, we just talked. He basically asked me what side of the ball I wanted to play. Of course, I said it doesn't matter. And then he said, okay, you're going to play defense.
So Mike, when we go here to the University of Alabama, talk about the early steps, because something he sold you, and I asked Julio Jones this same similar question. When you talk about believing, what was it about Nick Saban who sold you? Little did we know he was going to go on and win 5 out of the last 9. Okay, I'm not talking about that, but what was it that maybe convinced you that this guy was going to do something special, or did you see it coming?
Nobody in that class could tell you that they saw that coming. You saw a coach come tell you that first off, you're going to get your degree and you're going to work harder than anybody in the country. And we just actually believed in that, and we just went with that every day. And before you know it, we undefeated in that first year, and then we lose to Florida, but that was just a building block for the next year. Then we go undefeated, and then we get started. But it wasn't about believing we'll win national championship. He never told us that. All he told us, we're going to get education, we're going to work hard, and that was basically it.
Michael, what advice would you give a young man? We are hours away, and at this point, these players are prepared. They've went through the 7-on-7. They've been through Scott Cochran. Camp starts tomorrow at the University of Alabama at 2:30, and a lot of these players will walk out on that practice field for the very first time. What will be the expectations? What advice would a Michael Williams that's been through it give to a player that's never been through it, that's going to be entering his first practice tomorrow?
Number one, be hydrated.
Okay.
It's going to be very rough. And two, just know your assignment. Spend all that time in the meeting room, and Coach Saban is big on knowing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, and because he has to trust you. And that's the biggest thing, is building his trust, and you got to do that every day. And just because you start the first game of the season, that Monday practice, you can do something, lose his trust, and then you do it again, then you might not play. So it's just all about building his trust, doing what you're supposed to do, and just knowing your playbook, which is the hardest thing to learn. Through the summer, Cochran, you're going to be physically and mentally. You just got to be able to learn that playbook.
We're talking to Michael Williams, a tight end at the University of Alabama who won 3 national titles, went on to win a Super Bowl for the New England Patriots, had a chance to play in the National Football League for both Detroit and New England. When we talk about Nick Saban, obviously he studied under Bill Belichick. When you went to the New England Patriots, how did your knowledge of what Nick Saban expected help you play and the expectations that Bill Belichick had for you?
It helped me because it was the same expectations. It wasn't anything different. When I say it's almost, like I said, it's a spitting image of each other. The same person, one's just I don't know who's older or not, but one of them, they are the exact same person. It's as crazy as it may sound. Everything we did at Alabama, we did in New England, and I guess that's why both of the programs are doing very well.
So like the same mannerisms, or just the same coaching style?
I would say Nick is a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? He's a little more of a laughable guy. Nick, you'll get a chuckle out of Nick. Bill, no laughing. That same face that you always see, and it's 100% business with Bill. But Nick, you'll get a laugh out of him. Something like that.
Well, I will say this, and I'm not complimenting Nick Saban, but he's a much better dresser than Bill Belichick. I mean, is that fair to say?
No, I'm not getting into that, Ryan. I'm not getting into that one.
Hey, but no, I mean, think about it. I mean, Nick Saban's got a little style. Nick
has a lot of style.
Yeah,
he has a lot of style.
Except with those.
Bill has style on the road.
Oh, he does?
Dress up to go on the road. Bill has style.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to pick those brains. I mean, I saw Nick Saban a couple of months ago, and for this special that he did on these basketball shoes. Mike, you got to help him out, man. I mean, did you see those old school basketball shoes that he's wearing? I mean, they're like something from the 1980s.
I haven't seen it. What is it on?
Well, it's on ESPN with Marty Smith, and they're doing a basketball. Nick Saban calls it the NBA. It's the Nick Saban noon basketball league that he's the commissioner. I'm sure you've probably heard about.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
about that.
He's got Marquise, you're a better shoe guy than I am. Marquise is the excellent. How would you describe to Michael the shoes that Nick Saban put on those feet? I mean, how come on, Marquise, help me out here.
Like some 1990 New Balances. It was just awful.
Awful.
Some Monarch.
Awful.
Whatever. I bet he dropped 50 in them.
You say what now?
I bet he dropped 50 points every week in them.
Well, nobody's allowed to guard him. I mean, he makes up the rules. He's told us before. He's the commissioner. He calls all the fouls, and he picks who guards him.
He actually has a sweet shot, though. When we shot ball back when I was in high school when he came, he actually has a sweet shot, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right, let me ask you, when you talk about winning a national title, was Nick Saban harder after winning a national title on the year following? Because you had a chance to go back-to-back, and obviously Alabama's trying to do that this year. When you talk about going back-to-back, was he harder after winning a national title?
The crazy part about that, he didn't have to be. We was harder because we was all on that 2009 team, and then 2010 team was probably better than 2009 team, and we lost 3 games. So we already knew what it would take after winning the national championship, how to try to do it again. And he didn't have to do anything. Me, Damian Square, all the seniors and the juniors, well, not even juniors, they were seniors. We was all fifth-year seniors. But we got together and we made the rules. Like, we didn't make the rules, of course, but we did the discipline. We did all that to make sure we didn't have that same thing happen again. So it wasn't too much different than him. He was the same guy. We was different.
Think about the accountability. When you can have a chance, and I'm sure you're looking for the same group of leaders there at Pickens County, at your high school, as you're building your football team, you're looking for those guys that can create that leadership and that role model, and it makes the coach's job a little bit easier.
And I've been blessed to have a couple of them that be just like that, which makes my job a lot easier. They all answer to 2 guys who, keep them in line, and it's hard for a teenager to keep themselves in line, let alone keeping other people in line. So I was blessed with 2 players who could actually get that job done.
Well, and it's going to be a lot of fun to follow your coaching days. We're talking to Michael Williams from the University of Alabama. He's the head coach at Pickens County, which is about 30 miles from outside of the area, right down Highway 82 there in Reform, Alabama. He's going to be the head coach as he leaves the NFL and heads back into the coaching ranks. Michael, it has been an absolute joy to be able to catch up with you and talk a little bit. How can we help you promote your program? Obviously, we want people to go out and support you and, get behind one of those Bama guys and see what you're able to do there at Pickens County. And you never know. I mean, 25 years from now, we might be talking about Michael Williams at the University of Alabama working his way.
I don't plan on being 25 years. I'll tell you that. I don't plan on being that long. But, yeah, I want to ask you my scores, give you everything. You can shout them out over the air. However you got to do it. We got to get Pickens County back in the limelight.
Well, hey, it's a big excuse to go to Pickens County is, man, you stop there at the Jacks on the left and get you one of those milkshakes, and then just go over and watch some great high school football, man. I mean, what's better than that right here in West Alabama?
You can go down. You got Boss Hall Barbecue. Keep on going down on 82 on the right. And then we got a new restaurant called Sweet Teas. It's pretty good. So you got a couple options in Reform. I mean, you can't keep going on 82 because if you blink too much, you'll miss it. So you got to make sure you slow down when you come as soon as you hit the city limit.
Well, and listen, I say this often. You guys take football, especially high school football, in that city and in that area. Those guys about 8 miles closer here. Those guys, it's something about football over in that county. You guys take it up a couple of notches, my friend.
Well, I've told everybody, and it wasn't just to make our school look good. This is Pickens, Reform and Gordo is Pickens County. I mean, it's Alabama and Auburn. It's the exact same thing.
No,
2 schools that hate each other and just go at it.
Hey, you've never been to a high school football game until you've been to the Battle of 82. The Battle of 82. Those barber shops, Jack's, whatever restaurant over there, all that smack talking going on that week leading up, and then you get the bragging rights for the next 52 weeks, how close that is. you've never been to a high school football game until you go to Pickens County and Gordo. No doubt about it.
It's something special. Definitely is something special.
Well, listen, Michael, I'm not just saying this on the air, man. If we can be an asset to you, we can help you out, get the word out. Please, please do not hesitate to pick up that phone and give us a text. You got a big game coming up. Maybe we can help you increase some awareness and increase your gate with those people going out and supporting you. We'll certainly get behind you. Proud of your success, and we look forward to covering your days at Pickens County. Thank you again for spending some time with me here in T-Town.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you to your whole staff and everybody over there. Y'all been following me for a long time, and I thank you for all that. And I would definitely get you everything you need to know about Pickens County so you can shoot up the awareness this way.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Michael. I've enjoyed the conversation. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.